Mikita, man, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, hello.
I appreciate the time that you're taking to be part of this conversation. For context, Mikita is the founder and CEO of Skarbe, and I will let him introduce what the platform stands for and what his initial vision was when starting up the company.
Yeah, so hello, thanks for having me here, and happy to share what we built in Skarbe. So we built this platform for entrepreneurs like myself who has to do like 5 different jobs during the day, and definitely I don't want to have a full-time sales job. And all the CRMs and other professional sales tools, they expect you exactly that. They expect you to spend the whole day in their platform to input all the information, to set up the platform for, I don't know how many weeks, months. So if you think about the space, you will see that people are not, they do not enjoy sales, not because they hate sales. Entrepreneurs, they love to sell their products, but instead of selling the product, they have to manage all those tools. And yeah, so we've seen a huge opportunity on the market. There are a lot of tools for professional sellers, but for all the rest, like us, people who do sales every day, who actually build the product, they hire people that have to do all those stuff. And sales is just one of their primary functions. They just don't have a right tool for them.
Yeah, I actually relate to that because it all comes down to primary skill versus secondary skills, right? And if your primary skill is to sell your product and to talk about your product and deliver and over deliver, actually, which is crucial, then when you're bogged down by very intricate features when it comes to CRMs that, like you said, force you to be in there all day, make that a full-time occupation or hire a full-time SDR at that point, then it kind of defeats the purpose of what is the real needle movers. Is it spending all day on the CRM, or is it talking about your products to the right people? And I think we can both agree that the latter is not necessarily the biggest ROI on our time, unless your primary expertise is sales. Then that's a completely different story.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we hear. That's what we see. And initially, when we started, we were trying to build something more generally applicable for anyone who does sales. But then we quickly realized that sales professionals, they have a lot of tools that they use, and we really don't want to be another CRM. We don't want to be another assistant for professional sales reps. But at the same time, we got lots of requests, lots of demand. People are actually pulling the product from our hands right now. They really want it because, spreadsheets and CRMs, they are not solving their core problem.
Yeah, I saw that you guys had quite a successful launch. I believe it was in March, and you guys immediately had 5-star reviews and people, like you said, pulling the product off your hands and really wanted to try it. Multiple shout outs from people who got to try the product and notice by themselves just how much of a shortcut it is when it comes to traditional sales processes and CRM management versus the way Scarb does it. And it is pretty refreshing. It was really awesome to see. What would you say a typical day for Skarb CEO looks like? What is your day-to-day like? I know it can be pretty hectic, but you come up with structures and things that move the needle as much as possible. What are those for you?
Yeah, exactly. So it is super crucial for me to have a very structured day. So I'm trying to plan in advance. Actually, I plan the whole week in advance, and I block my calendar for specific types of activities for the whole week because I'm a single person that do all the customer communication right now. So I do the sales, I do customer support, and a bunch of other things with customers. I have to leave some space to have at least like 15 to 20 sales calls a week, and all the rest is kind of already pre-filled with specific things. I always have time for my gym activities, so I need to have sport in my life. Yeah, so it's very crucial to have at least 3 times a week. And if I won't book it there, this time will also be consumed by other stuff. I also have 2 kids, so I want to spend time with them. So I usually block family time in the evening. And since the team is located in different parts of the world, so my day is not kind of structured that in terms of like, I have focus time in the morning, then I have some calls, then I have family time, then I have time with my US team. We can do daily stand-ups, one-on-ones. Then I have some sales calls with the other time zone, and then I go to bed. So it is very crucial to plan ahead. And I still remember, about things that give you energy back, like proper food, time with your family, sports. That's crucial. But I try to work hard for 5 days, and then I'm trying not to work at all on the weekend. So I'm also like, when I was like 20 years younger or like 15 years younger, I started my career in advertising agency. It was very similar to Mad Men kind of TV series. So it was very intense. I was 20 years old, maybe less, 18. And I was working like around the clock. It was a lot of fun, but I don't think it worth it because you actually don't feel that you accomplish something when you don't have some limits or some kind of specific frames for yourself. So you
Yeah.
say, I have this time to do the work. Then I'm super focused, I'm laser focused, I'm completing things, and I feel good about things that I've completed. I've heard like a lot from founders, from folks, that there is like 996 today, which is quite popular. It was popular in China. I don't know if you know about this kind of concept, like work from 9 to 9, 6 days in a week.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst thing that you can do because you don't refresh your brain. It's a very robotic kind of approach. Yes, you can work long hours. Sometimes I work long hours, so usually work 10 to 12 hours a day, but I work only 5 days in a week. And I think if you are not able to recharge and if you don't have interest outside of your job, then probably you get miserable very quickly.
Completely agree. And it's not about the time you spend doing it, right? Like you said, the 9 hour or 9 to 9, 6 days a week is a good crunch period, right? A very big product launch is upcoming. You kind of dedicate a few weeks to that. But otherwise, sustainability takes it, I feel.
Yeah.
Although it's your business and it's more aligned with your values and what you actually want, you can still effectively burn out from it if you're not taking intentional rest time. You mentioned you take some family time. That's good because those are perfect timing to recharge your batteries and kind of just not think about work, not think about any challenges you're facing. Just enjoy your time with your loved ones. And then when you come back, you feel like your battery is basically back to full and you can tackle whatever it is that the next milestone that you're going after. So yeah, I completely agree. It's all about balance. And I do try to boundarize my time around weekends as well. Weekends are for my wife, for my friends, for adventures, for outdoors, for having a nice drink on a patio. I do come back Monday feeling very refreshed. I like your approach to this because I find that a lot of founders that I've spoken to be completely transparent, I've made that mistake at first, is that we go all in on the business that we disregard the other elements like health, like rest time, like family time. And then you forget why you got into it in the first place, which is to have more time to do those things, to work 5 times the amount of hours you used to work at a full-time job, because that's not necessarily, well, can you do that for 30, 40 years? I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm not built for
Yeah,
that.
I would say that in general, I enjoy what I'm doing, so it doesn't feel like job. So if I would have no breaks, if I had no wife and kids, I would definitely spend more time doing work. Also, like I'm very happy to have the other side. So it's very important because I have some type of kind of obsession with work. I'm trying to keep it on the leash because I know if you're letting this thing go, you will quickly lose all the other things. And also, like when you work with other people, with the team, when you communicate constantly around the clock, it also make people, feel unhappy, feel that your expectations is that they need to respond to you at the same moment.
Yes.
So it's very important to have a very clear expectations. In our case, we have a very structured weekly delivery plan. So we have Monday momentum where we discuss the whole thing for the week. We also plan the whole months, but we are very flexible and we have daily stand-ups where we discuss all the latest progress. And I not necessarily need to get kind of constant control on all of people because we have those checkpoints and people are very proactive. So they feel the energy, and I think founder and CEO especially should be a driver force. So if there is no such force, then nobody will care. But yeah, if you care, I say too much, if you're getting into the zone where you kind of neurotic founder, you burn this like energy, and this is the wrong energy to build your startup on. But also, I'm 38 years old. I was building a career. I had my business when I was 20. Like I've done all the types of mistakes already. And right now I'm like trying to build this business big, but also trying to make it a bit more sustainable in terms of my personal well-being.
Yeah. I think those priorities seem to be in check, to be honest. And like you said, because it's not your first rodeo, you've started businesses before, you've worked in the realm before, you know just how counterproductive being, like you said, neurotic about the whole business thing, and then the pressure it can put on your team, because then they kind of feel like you don't have empathy for the fact that, hey, ultimately they work for you and they're on board with the mission, but they also deserve to have their own time and do other things and think of other things.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
ha- what would you say are the main and biggest shifts and trends that you're noticing in the B2B SaaS, specifically the AI realm lately?
Yeah, so I think that it's it's been quite a big shift during the last few years since we've seen all this AI stuff, starting from all the companies, all the big players trying to become AI companies. Like you've recently probably seen that Grammarly, that before they acquired Coda, now they acquired Superhuman, and they kind of like became an AI workflow building company, something like that. So companies like even big ones that had product market fit and like 100 millions of revenue, they shifting because like, the landscape is changing. The main technology of the century, I think, is the artificial intelligence is out there, and it's easier than ever to deliver something. I wouldn't say that it's easy to deliver scalable product that can solve a real need in a very good quality way. But in order to build an MVP or to start something, you can use Lovable or Replit, and anybody can do that. And I was recently writing a post about that designers that were using Figma, they're well established to become next generation of founders because they were talking to customers, they understand how product work, they understand UX, they were doers themselves, and now they have a right tool to build it all together. And not the engineers, not the product managers, but specifically product designers. And in our case, we have my CTO, Alex. He is very usability focused, UX focused. And that's why we don't have a designer. He designed all the workflows and UX himself. So, and that's very crucial in the beginning. But you were asking about the whole industry. I think that there will be a lot of like startups that will do lots of specific things for specific niches. Like when you think about the Spotify, platforms like that. Before we had those big brands, big bands, like Metallica, Korn, Limp Bizkit, and other bands that were traveling, and there were a lot of fans like myself in 2000s. But then when Spotify and like Apple Music and other platforms appeared, the distribution changed, and like, all these indie kind of bands and all those solo, I don't know, musicians could make money from their stuff that they create, and they started to be present on those platforms. So instead of having those big bands, now you listen to Spotify, but the mix is like 70% of new music. And this is how I think also like the SaaS industry will change. So there will be some big brands like OpenAI, like Anthropic and X, and other like super tools that will combine any workflows. But at the same time, there will be immersive space for small entrepreneurs, founders, people with ideas to deliver specific things for specific verticals, for specific problems. And the cost of switching will be very small. So people can try different stuff. They can combine their tools. They can connect those tools. They can build tools for themselves. So this is the future. And in the middle, like there was a layer of tools, like I would say, many unicorns that appeared like during 2010, 2020, that right now are in the worst space. So they are not big enough to become a super tool for everyone, but at the same time, they are too big to become a niche player for a specific niche. So they are kind of like no fit for them.
They're
So
stuck in limbo.
yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think that the next 10 years, there will be a lot of customization, a lot of kind of indie tools. And at the same time, there will be those mega tools that will connect the networks across the globe. And it's happening right now regarding the sales space. Like recently, it's not recently, actually, it's last Klarna, they fired Salesforce. So they had the Salesforce that they were using. I guess they were paying like, I don't know how many $100,000. And then they said like, okay, so this is just a database for our sales data. We don't need it. We can have this database in our own servers, and we can build AI agents that can do the workflows on top of it. So we don't need to pay that much for a database. And I think this is a big company that can, and AI first company, they spend a lot of money to make everything AI. But I think the same thing is going to happen with smaller businesses, with SMBs. And there's going to be a trend in we're going to see more light solutions that will be interconnected, and you don't need to have a sales operations person to set it up. And that's happening today. Even if you go and see like all those main players from the last 10 years, like HubSpot, Pipedrive, they all have this AI agents, assistants, and so on. But when I talk to customers, when I talk to like normal businesses from real sector, like entrepreneurs, like resellers, agencies, they say that still it's just another feature on top of all the things that they have there.
Yeah.
And they're trying to sell you more because the way it works, they sell you seats. They need to sell you at least 5 seats to be, efficient. And then you're ending up paying $500 per month
Per month.
for having the platform that you barely use, or you use just 10% of it. And you barely can set it up yourself. You need to hire an agency to do that. So another $500
Minimum.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, for initial setup, and then 1,000 more and 1,000 more. But
Yeah.
yeah, does it make sense if
Yeah.
you're kind of like, if you're not like the whole blown sales organization, you're just a small startup, like 10 people, 20 people? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's what caught my attention with Skarbe as well. And to go back to your point, I believe that we are the era where the notion of ecosystem is more crucial than ever, right? Like you said, there's a proliferation of AI tools and B2B SaaS tools that are just appearing and kind of spawning out of nowhere. And then there's the big players who are putting more and more time and energy into scaling up and joining the AI bandwagon and integrating, which is the keyword here. I find that the platforms, be it AI or not, with the highest success rate, highest purchase rate, and best feedback are those with the most integrations possible. Think think Zapier, think Skarbe, think even HubSpot has tons of integration. The more you can connect them and intertwine them with other softwares that fulfill a different part of the equation, the more efficient those tools become in return. And ultimately, it's hard to grab one single tool and plug it into a business and then have that one single tool do all the deliverables needed. And I feel like a lot of founders are leaning towards that. They want to become as self-sustained as possible. When in reality, I think that the real bread making here is in seeking that ecosystem and seeking those opportunities to be part of that ecosystem. Integrate with other platforms as much as possible because people will use them. Whether you're on board with it or not, people will use them. There is someone out there who's already using HubSpot and is looking for more tools to add to the belt, as opposed to dropping HubSpot, having to move their whole operation to a different platform, which, migration takes in of itself, that transition phase is a few weeks, if not months of work, and that added workload on the staff itself. I observed that there is a smaller entry barrier than ever because for the first time ever, businesses can monetize a skill they don't have thanks to AI. And I see that with a lot of younger founders, especially who kind of create a tool from scratch using AI. They code it all from AI. It's all AI made, but it's not there as an enhancement of an expertise they already have. It's not there as a way to over deliver on something they can already deliver quite well. It's there to mimic a skill they don't have, and you can immediately sense it, right? Example, your knowledge in sales is the reason Skarbe works as well as it does. If you didn't have that knowledge of what it takes to have a successful sales operations, you could create the best AI tool ever. It's not going to do the job that it's supposed to do because there's going to be caveats and loopholes that you would have missed. And that's what I've been personally observing in the conversations I've had. Would you say, in what way is this shift in the accessibility of AI tools and their integration, in what way has it impacted your business specifically and your growth so far in your journey?
Yeah, that's a good observation. I would say that having this lower barrier to the market opened it up for many people who are willing to try things out, who are willing to play in entrepreneurs or build something and try to sell it, or fake it till you make it, trying to just create a demo, which is not bad. Just create their own impression. And I think in most cases, at least when I have those conversations with other folks who kind of more old school and trying to say that, no, you can't build tools with AI. Otherwise, you will debug everything. I think, like, if the person doesn't have a specific expert, is not an expert in any field, that doesn't know, have a passion to figure it out, they will definitely not able to deliver anything meaningful to anyone. But this is a separate topic. It's more like, are you able to solve a problem that worth solving, and are you able to solve it in a meaningful way to help people, to resolve their pain? But this is absolutely kind of a separate thing from how you're going to solve it. You can hire the team that will build it for you, or you can do it yourself in the beginning just to save time and make it as an experiment to test the MVP, building it on Lovable. So I've seen both examples. And I can't say what is worth. I've seen founders who raised money and hired sales reps to figure out product market fit for them, which doesn't work. They just burn the money and close the startup. On the other side, I've seen new founders that had an idea and then they just built something with lovable, tested the interest, and then they decided like, should we consider, should we kind of do something else? And the third trend that I'm seeing right now, I'm talking to founders a lot, and I have few folks who exited. And it's funny that, you know, those people are passionate. They always have ideas. They always have problems to solve. It can be something you wouldn't expect from those folks. It can be something like math problems for children in school, for example. And they're able to solve it today with the tool set. Let's say they were CTOs or they were non-engineering, I don't know, founders. But right now they have those complementary skills that they can use and outsource with AI, which makes it super simple and quick to go to market and then see if it's viable enough to proceed with this idea. So I think that's exactly the case where you can build something, you can test it out, and you can decide to double down or not. But if you think about those first MVPs or demos as the end product, it's probably not going to work. But at the same time, if you don't have expertise or interest or passion to figure things out and you will build something, it won't work anyway. Even if you have the best team, the best engineers, the best salespeople, just because you are not invested in this thing.
Yeah, agreed. And to your point, I find that the whole testing phase is neglected quite often in product launches or whatever the product is. It doesn't even have to be B2B SaaS, but the testing phase is rushed and neglected because people are excited to go to market. And what that does is that they come in with a solution that isn't well ironed out, with a target audience that is misunderstood. And then, of course, that's going to impact the delivery. And like you said, they have to close up
Yeah.
because there's no cash flow. And the reason for it is not one of my favorite sayings is from Alex Hormozy, and it says you could spend 10 years trying to market a shitty product, or you could spend 10 years building an amazing product that will market itself.
Yeah, that's
Live,
that's
I
that,
live by that
that's
rule.
that's a good point. At the same time, I'm not necessarily 100% agree with you. So there are two approaches. I can give an example. So Elon Musk versus Jeff Bezos. So Elon built the SpaceX step by step from shitty can that was barely jumping from the
Standing.
ground, yeah, standing, to the rockets that could, to the, where like go back. But at the same time, during the 10 years, the Raptor, the engine, it was an evolution. So if you look into the first Raptor and to the last one, it's clear that it was the evolutionary process. At the same time, Jeff Bezos was signing contracts like for hundreds of millions dollars to build their Blue Origin. And you haven't seen like how it was evolving because there was no flights, there was nothing during the last like 10 years, and then it started to fly. So there are two approaches. You can get to the same result with two different ways of doing things. And what Elon got a lot of attention from media, and there was a lot of, buzz about this, while Bezos was doing it quietly, I mean, comparing to Elon. And those two approaches, they can work. The thing is, it really depends on personality, I think. So I like the approach of Jeff Bezos designing backwards. So you need to understand what you're going to do, like how it's going to look like. So I don't know if you read the book about designing backwards, about this concept from Amazon. Yeah, I highly recommend it. So the idea is very simple. Before you launch something, you need to write a PR release, imagining that you're launching the product today. So like in 6 months, you're saying like, hey, we introduce you Skarbe. Skarbe, with Skarbe, you don't need to have this second job of selling. We just kill this job for you. So now you can do whatever you love to do with your entrepreneurship. And then you explain how. And then you design the product backwards. So this is a very good approach, but it requires a visionary and the final goal. And you need to build towards this final goal. The other approach is building step by step, trying to figure out things on the go. Yes, having the vision, but being open to those iterations. And I would say that we trying to be visionary, but at the same time iterative. So we combine those two approaches, and even like in development, how we do this, my CTO Alex, he used a specific framework in development that allows things to be built very quickly. So overnight, literally, we were able to deliver specific features, then test them, then get feedback if it's something that people need, and then we can either kill them or build a backend. And this approach, it has backfired several times. Sometimes, like when we were syncing like 2 million emails in one, and everything crashed. the platform crashed. And then we're iterating and building stuff in the right way. But, at the same time, if we were over-engineering, over-complicating stuff, we just don't have budgets for that. So right now we're trying to combine both ways, but all the new features, all the new requests are based on real customer feedback. And my team always challenges me if I bring something that is not supported by any real life examples. So I think that's the best team. The best product team will challenge their, CEO whenever CEO is saying, "Hey, folks, I just got a crazy idea. We need to do this." And then they said, like, why? Why should they give us an example? Prove that. So I have to prove it. And I like that the team is so much involved, included, and trying to understand the real pains, but also I'm trying to bring the feedback from customers all the time. So we started a Discord channel to bring the clients and the team together.
Great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works really well. But talking about your point, I believe that there should be iterations. You should build step by step. And the smaller iterations they are, if you have this kind of, rhythm of delivery, and it makes the team feel excitement, dopamine after they release something, they get the feedback and they move on. So it's very important to build this feedback loop. But at the same time, you
100%.
need to have a big vision. And until you have the product market fit, until you have your niche, you can't set it in stone. But once you have it, you need to double down on getting there. And you shouldn't
Exactly.
change things.
Yeah, I agree. And the whole idea of getting the reps in is something that I appreciate, not just from a gym perspective, because I work out and kind of ironically, that's what taught me the whole just get the reps in. Like get the reps in and eventually you will improve. And that's valid in business, valid on life, valid with fitness and all that. It's that I'll take content creation, for example, because that's right up my alley. But so a lot of businesses are still living in the billboard era, right? It costs thousands of dollars to have a billboard up, thousands more to maintain it, thousands more to change it whenever you wanted to tweak a little part of the copy. Each deliverable had to go through 50 different people within the organization be approved in order to go on the billboard because of how big of an investment it was. What I notice now, especially in the B2B SaaS industry, is that people are applying that with content creation on social media in today's era where AI exists. Getting as many reps in as possible should be the goal because the cost of each rep is minimal. It's free. All you need is I don't know, a LinkedIn account or any social media, and you can post 5 times a day. No one is gonna slap you on the wrist for it. But they're still stuck in that perfectionism of overanalyzing every part of each post, and then they end up not having the volume required to take away the right lessons to execute to then improve the content pipeline. Does that make sense? Instead, they're posting 5% of what they could be, so they're getting 5% of the feedback they could be getting, and so they're getting 5% of the improvement they could be getting. And that's also applicable to sales and to product launch in general, where you kind of have to push it out there, get the feedback, and run with it. If the feedback is good, double down on it, like you said. If it's bad, cool, tell me how I can make it good. I think customers love to hear that. If it's bad, please tell me how I can make it better. That's the biggest value exchange that as an entrepreneur I receive from my customers. If you notice something that isn't working out, the biggest favor you could do to me is tell me, "Hey, Yassine, this is a little wonky. I would appreciate if it worked better." Great, thank you. I'll take that to the team, work on it tonight, and try to push something out that fixes the issue and therefore improves the delivery of the product.
Yeah, that's true.
What Just as a follow-up question here, but you mentioned that this lower barrier to entry and getting those reps in can sometimes lead to moves that backfire. What would you say is working out really well for you right now in terms of innovations and implementing systems internally? And on the other hand, what has been the cause of some frustration on your end, be it on the operational side or on the marketing side or on the leadership side, just as a whole organization wide?
Yeah, so regarding the organizational structure, and I don't think it should be very much structured. So we are 5 people right now, and we don't need more. And I don't think we're gonna get more people until the seed round. So it's good enough to perform. And the smaller team, the easier to collaborate and to iterate, and everyone is very visible. But it means a lot of responsibility for the CEO to organize all the processes, to align everyone, to act as a glue to connect people and make sure that everyone understands their role, having one-on-ones. So this management part is very crucial, and you can't rely on AI. So this is purely human job. You need to be there with people. You need to have one-on-ones. You need to be sure everyone is aligned and understand their goals. So this is the thing that is purely on you as a human. But all the other stuff, as you mentioned, content creation, especially like because Gen AI, it is like exceptionally good in content creation. So it's easier than ever to create good quality content that is value add. And if you're not doing that today, it means that you're missing out on a lot. It makes total sense, but at the same time, there is an expertise that you need. So, for example, when we were building our cold outreach campaigns, I'm not an expert in cold outreach. Moreover, I was very skeptical about cold outreach before I started to do this myself, and I had to have somebody who is a good expert. And the problem with agencies and companies that you hire is always that they can sell you some kind of a vision of what is going to be achieved, but in the end, they are interested in process more than in results. So in my case, I was very lucky to find a very good agency that helped me, and I'm happy with working with them, but I'm always trying to pay for the end result. So my confusion in most cases with anybody I hire, can it be vendors or like with people, it was easier, but because those people who work for us, they're all people I know for many, many years. So we don't have people from the market. But for agencies and vendors, it's always like that. You either have a feeling about those people that it won't work, and then for some reason you deciding to give it a try, then you just waste time, you waste money, and even sometimes recommendation doesn't work. I would say that the biggest confusion is that there are a lot of people on the market that trying to sell you their services as vendors, as agencies, that just don't have work ethics. And the work ethics for agency, I think it's the most crucial thing. And if you hire somebody, just make sure that those people can deliver and they have professional work ethics. So this is the most crucial thing. I've failed several times hiring the wrong people or people that are not able to deliver or people that are kind of not my type. So we were not able to work.
You don't connect from an
Yeah.
ideological like
Yeah.
mindset standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we have a very clear cultural code on our website, and we use this code not only for our internal employees and people who work for us, but also for hiring anyone outside. So for any agency or vendor, and it's very simple. So there are three criteria. The first one is intellect, so it's IQ. Those people should be very skilled in what they're selling. So they should be the best in their game. And it should be proven by their previous achievements. Then number two is empathy. So if they are not empathetic, it means that we won't be able to work because they're not involved, they're not passionate, they just not being able to communicate. So either for internal employees or for vendors, it's very important to people to be empathetic. And the last one, which is, I think, being all the time, it's been very overlooked. Nobody is mentioning it today. It's vital energy. So it's VQ. And you can have IQ, you can have EQ, I mean, empathy. But if you don't have VQ, you don't have vital energy, then it won't work. Because, you act like a zombie. You just perform, you do the job, but you're not really invested in it. You don't have your skin in the game. You don't care, whatever.
You're an autopilot.
Yeah. So, and especially today, there's so many people that burned out. And of course, I mean, I care, but I don't want to work with people who burned out already because they won't be able. Yeah, they won't be able to do anything. So if human can take care of themselves first, they are not able to deliver any results. So VQ is very important. And what I see in most entrepreneurs and folks that are very successful, they are always able to motivate themselves because your motivation is always coming from inside. It's not coming from outside. It's not coming from salary. It's not coming from job titles and other bullshit. It's always coming from inside. And if you don't have this energy inside you, then probably you just don't have the energy to do your job. So
100%.
those three things, they're crucial for people to be hired in our company. And also right now I'm trying to understand if the person on the other side has all those three criteria in order to work with them, because otherwise it would be just a waste of time.
Yeah. I think from my own mistakes, to go to your point, is whenever I had someone who had the IQ and the EQ, let's say I outsource a specific part of my operations to them, but like you said, they lack enthusiasm. I would give enthusiasm as a synonym for VQ, where you can tell that they have the intelligence and technical capabilities to achieve what they say they can achieve. They show empathy as in we're having a good conversation. It feels like a human level conversation, but then they're kind of doing it as a can't believe I have to do this, right? Like, oh my God, poor me. I get to be in this privileged seat to offer value and have this value exchange. Poor me. And that alone, and to be honest, I'm thinking of two specific scenarios where I got burned because of that, were because of this lack of enthusiasm, which ultimately led to a mistake being made because they're not passionate about what they're doing. And it's funny because everything is linked. If you like the VQ, chances are your work ethic will take a hit, and so will your sense of empathy because you think that you're not doing anything wrong, but you are because you're not showing enthusiasm for the whole process. So it's funny that you say that because this is fairly recent, and so I've been processing this on my own end, and this is a pretty good explanation as far as VQ goes. I think that that's kind of the nail in the coffin right there. That was spot on. And unfortunately, as a young entrepreneur myself, it is very, very, very present in younger entrepreneurs because of the ease of access to entrepreneurship nowadays versus even 10, 15 years ago. I wasn't even in business 10, 15 years ago, but my parents, my uncle, I have family, friends that have been, and I know firsthand that it used to be 100 times harder, right? Now you can, in one day, incorporate a business in Canada and launch a product, connect everything. You have your business number, you set it up, create a product on Stripe and start selling it. No one would ever know that it just got launched. But then where is the back end work? Where's the backstage of it? If it's non-existent, it reflects on the quality of the delivery of the relationships and of the go-to-market product, the go-to-market version of the product. So you mentioned that what has been frustrating was more the balancing the technical side of the operations as well as the human side. I wouldn't use frustrating, but challenging, where well, like you said, relationships are the only thing you cannot outsource to AI because those are human to human. They're not robot to human. Human to robot, maybe, but not the other way around. Would you say, let me phrase this carefully, what would you say is or are the metrics that you're focusing on that will be a good indicator that you're doing a good job at handling those challenges?
Yeah, I think the overall clarity across the team, when the team is able to suggest things that are spot on and meaningful according to the latest feedback that customers bring, or so when everybody is kind of participating in the conversation, when everybody asks questions and challenges you, that's a good sign of people are getting what you're doing. So enthusiasm is not just on their side, but also on you, how you communicate and how you frame things. So when there is a balance, like right now, I know that I have people who are thinking about specific parts of the business. So I have a fractional CMO that helps me to operate with budgets and do the check with metrics because I don't have extensive knowledge about this part. I also have an agency that helps me to send cold outreach, but also they're very much included. They ask questions, they send me reports, and they do this without me pushing them. And of course, the team, whenever something happens, or they can be proactive. So they ask questions, they suggest things. So that's the best, kind of way to understand that you've set the process that is the right process to build stuff. If it all relies on you, it makes your ego feels good because everyone kind of rely on you. Everyone depends on you. But this is the worst case scenario, I think. And I think it's very easy to understand this in the wrong way. So some people are, giving away all the responsibility to others, saying, okay, so I just need to give this job and assign those tasks and they will be accomplished. This is the one, side that is wrong. The other side is just to micro control everything and just make everyone depend on you. So I think both things, I've been on the both sides, and I think both ways are very, very much inefficient in the business. So the thing is to make it smart. So you can turn off your brain and just make it, black or white. You can't just like give all the stuff to people or take it from them and take all responsibility to yourself. So in my case, I think when people are genuinely interested and included, they ask questions, they deliver stuff. So every week they're able to deliver meaningful results. And it can be whatever. It can be product on production. It can be sales closed. It can be leads brought to the website to the pipeline. If those goals are clear and people understand how they're interconnected with other folks and overall the process, and they're being proactive in delivering those, then it means that you as a CEO, you're doing a great job.
Yeah. I always like to refer to it as if I delegate something, I want to be able to blindly trust the person that's doing it. I don't want control on it. I want a final sign off, yes, approved, move on. Sure. That is my job. But as far as the skill goes, if you delegate a task and you feel like it's still 50% your task, then it's not fully delegated. And so at that point, it's taking the mental space that the task would normally do, and you don't have control in its proper execution, which would drive a man mad, as I speak from experience. And so I'd rather find the right person. I'd rather spend more money on that person, but then I don't have to look at them. I can kind of just give them clear instructions, clear follow-up conversations if needed, and then I have a semi-finished draft to review, having a nice final conversation about it, and they take care of finalizing it. As opposed to that whole 50-50 where the delivery takes a hit and then you're stressed out because you overthinking, will it be delivered the way I expected? Did they understand my instructions? Are they qualified for this? Did I get the wrong guy or the wrong girl? And then that's nightmare fuel right there, because of all the other stuff, all the bigger fish you have to fry on a day-to-day basis that move the needle further for your business than focusing on these micro level deliverables. Instead of overseeing them, you're kind of working in them, and one is more draining than the other, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to summarize, I have a very simple framework for that. So there are three levels of kind of maturity in people and vendors. It's very simple. So it's either tactical level, so they can perform a task. This is the lowest level. Then they can own the process. So they are not only performing the task, but they understand the overall process where the task is just one step. And the third level is they can own the metrics.
Yes.
So in startups, I believe that everyone you hire should own the metrics. Otherwise, you will end up owning them for those people, and you will have to either set up the process and constantly nudge people to build stuff or to do stuff, whatever. Or in the worst case, if you hire somebody who's very junior and just can do tasks, startups doesn't work that way. So these are the three levels, and you need always to make sure. And this is actually when I'm thinking backwards about my experience with some of the vendors overall, this is the case. So people are showing you the results, they're showing you the metrics. But then when you start to work with them, you understand they don't understand the process. Yes, they can do stuff, but it's just disconnected from the reality, from your reality, from the goals that you set. So this is the case when the person or the business is completely irresponsible because they sold you something that they are not able to deliver, not because they're trying to fool you, just because they are not, professional enough to kind of own the process and own the goals and results. Because in the best case scenario, you want to just set the goal. I need, I don't know, 20 leads a week, for example. And then they go and deliver, and they just ask you the right questions. And this is the kind of like the best type of vendor or the best type of person you could get.
Trust-based
Yeah,
is it
trust-based,
all
but
comes down to
also,
trust.
as you mentioned, they can go deep. They can understand the process and tasks, so they understand the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Unlike many younger or less experienced people or less ethical, I would say, they just know the task and they are getting very upset when they deliver a task. But then you say like, hey, this is not what I was looking for. We haven't agreed on that. We are completely misaligned. And they kind of like asking for money for that. But this is not what you asked for. And this is so many times we've seen that.
Yeah, I agree. And it comes down to, like you said, trust and understanding, but also remember our point earlier when we were talking about the entry barrier and you can sell things that you're not good at delivering yet. That's the impact of it, right? Where you have people who are stuck at the superficial level, so they have the tasks, but they don't understand the link between each task, how to make it happen faster, how to be more efficient, which data to track to then get feedback from it and enhance the process and therefore deliver better results. And they have a lot of ego involved because they're good at the task and they justify the fact that they justify their payment and the revenue by the ability to execute the task properly. But you said it at the beginning, it's not about the process. Quite frankly, I don't care much about the process as long as it's ethical and it's not burning my business and I'm not burning bridges on a relationship level. Take the process and fly with it. What end result is it? What do I get out of it as a business owner? What is the value transfer here? You do this for me, and as a result, I receive what exactly? A process? Don't care much about it.
Yeah.
Like the way Skarbe is positioned is a prime example of how to do it well. It's like when I went to your website, yes, you have features exposed. Yes, you have, demos and videos and feedback and all. But ultimately, the end result is right there. A CRM for those who hate CRMs, and that's
Yeah.
what I remember. Well, every time I think of Skarbe now, it's the end goal is that you don't have to deal with CRM bullshit to lead your sales operations. Done deal, right? Whenever it comes, think of this is a solution that I need right now, it will be top of mind because it's the messaging is so clear around it, as opposed to we help you do this with AI agents and AI chatbots. It's like, okay, so what? You could tell
Yeah,
me that you do it magically, and I still would believe you as long as the end result is the same.
exactly.
The industry as a whole sometimes fails to understand that, especially with very, 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 very small and recent and young companies. I find even in my own network where we hold like master classes and we share ideas, we sometimes have to give each other the feedback. Well, hey, this is too process oriented. What's the end result there? What exactly is supposed to come out of it. Just because we're getting close to the end time, and I don't want to take more of your time than necessary. I just had one or two more questions. They're kind of linked, but I like to ask this to founders because I like to kind of understand what your vision is. Where would you see Skarbe be in the next 6 to 12 months? What would make the next 6 to 12 months? What would you say these were successful 6 to 12 months for Skarbe?
Yeah, so I have kind of metrics for that, but I would rather talk about the vision. So the metrics is definitely get to 1,000 paid customers, and the vision is to become a very easy to scale solution for entrepreneurs that can not only semi-automate their workflows, daily workflows, but even put it on autopilot. Because we want to we want to deliver agents on top of the platform, and we want to deliver specific custom LLMs that will learn only from your workspace. And having two things, you will get the execution of your tasks on autopilot, so hands-off mode. And with this, we also want to be present on growing markets like Africa. So this is something I'm very passionate about, and I've recently learned about the potential of like Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and the growing number of entrepreneurs there, and the lack of tools. So this market was completely abandoned. It's not even abandoned. There is no tools that are trying to go there. And our platform, our Skarbe, we exactly, a tool for very simplified B2B sales. So we want to become more mobile first. We want to be a tool that anyone can use. And I think that's a very good check for what we're worth, is to be on those emerging markets where there are a lot of like interest, there are a lot of need, but there is lack of good tools. So that's, this next 6 to 12 months is going to be expansion to those new markets. And it's going to be definitely reaching to the next milestones in terms of metrics, revenue, and growth.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds solid. And you're correct. There is an untapped market in I'm from Algeria originally, so I hear my friends in business in the continent. There's still a lot of skepticism around AI and a lot of SaaS. There's a lot of skepticism around tech in general because there's this mentality of it's too good to be true, kind of that's everywhere, and you can feel it in every conversation you have. But it also gives you full stage to prove them wrong. And I think that there's definitely a lot of low-hanging fruits there and a lot of possibilities to expand just by unstigmatizing the whole AI SaaS thing and making people understand that this is actually money left on the table. I find that their main limiting belief is that they believe it's not going to work because
Yeah,
of how there's just a general stigma around it. Right? That's the best way I could phrase it for you.
but I think still it really depends on the audience, and it depends on how you position your product. So if you use AI as a tech to solve specific problems and you focus on the problem, not on the solution, then it doesn't matter. Is it AI or, if it's like trigger action? If it can do the job, then everyone is happy. So for me, we're trying to apply different technologies to solve specific real life problems. So it can be AI, it can be whatever. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's just a fancy word today because everyone talks about it. But for me, it's the most groundbreaking technology of the century. Of course, you can disagree. The framing is very important. Many people talk about demos or ideas that have been pushed to the market as end products. And then they talk about this, AI bullshit and so on. But this is not about that. This is about the end product. And the end product, in our case, can we give you a meaningful suggested next step after the conversation you had with the client on various channels, in emails, in LinkedIn, over Zoom? Can we suggest you a specific next step that is good enough to move the deal forward on the right time? Can we draft the right email that will sound like you so you won't spend time on that? And can it be delivered in the right moment so you just, open the app, you see the contact, you see the next step, click, and it's done. So this is the promise. And it's backed by technology, not the other way around. So we are not calling ourselves AI company, blah, blah, blah. We're doing the real life thing. We're solving the real life problem using the latest technologies available. So this is the
Yeah.
goal. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I don't care about those conversations about AI gonna, strive or it's not gonna strive, because it's the best technology we have so far is the humanity. For me, I believe that this is the best. I was always dreaming about having in my pocket, having all the knowledge of the world. And right now, like I literally use AI for everything. I talk to
Yes.
it. I generate ideas. I constantly using it for everything in my personal life and my work life. I can't imagine my life without it.
Same here, man.
I mean, yeah,
Same
and
here.
that's
I
totally
have full
fine.
blown conversations with ChatGPT. I have full blown conversation with Perplexity. I don't Google anything anymore. That's a whole other tangent, but that's why SEO took a hit because now there's AI summaries. I don't read descriptions. I'm like, the AI summary is all I need to know. Did I need to open this notification, or can I just let it be and mark it as read? And if it's not relevant, I will mark it as read. And that impacted not only businesses, but the way we operate as human beings so much. Where any question I have about, oh, should I try this exercise for this muscle part? I've never done it. I asked ChatGPT, yeah, you should. And it asks follow-up questions for you. And all that to say that yeah, the realm has evolved. And introducing that to a demography like the African countries you mentioned it's a huge deal because they have no grounds for it. It's fresh, it's untapped.
But they have this is the youngest continent. Unlike Europe, that is on average 43, Africa is 18 and it's going to be 15. So when everyone will retire here in Europe and US, we will have the fastest growing economy there. And Asia and Africa is the future of the world. So you
100%.
like it or not, like, I mean, this is the reality. And I think it's a mobile first, it's a native generation that will get all these ideas like very quickly and it will
Yeah.
be completely natural.
Yeah.
So instead of, fighting with all those big giants from the past on the same markets, it makes sense to explore new things, especially because I believe that AI opens new markets. It's not
Yes.
really, for some people, it makes it like very fearsome, like it will replace me, it will replace. But for other folks, it can open new opportunities to build more, to build better stuff, to build quicker stuff, to sell more stuff. And it depends on your
Leverage.
framing position. Yeah. So it's a new leverage.
Yeah, it's leverage across the board, leverage to learn. And I think one of the most untapped things about AI is not as generative. Like generative is cool and all. Yeah, I can generate ads in like 20 ads in 10, 15 minutes. That's awesome. It's not new anymore. What's new and what's untapped is AI's ability to learn, right? To learn and to iterate human tasks or tasks that were human at one point. Yes, we could go the fear mongering route. The way that I choose to see it is that cool. Now you get to learn how to manage AI, and that's the most valuable skill you could ever have in this century. It's the most lucrative skill to have. Knowing how
Exactly.
to use those tools, how to connect them in that ecosystem that I mentioned, and then how to deliver results thanks to the ecosystem. End results, not process. We've been over that. That's the most lucrative way to go about it. Now, final question for you, and I so appreciate your time with this, Mikita. If you had to choose one challenge that would do 80% of the needle moving for you, which one would it be in your current context? And in the context of what you said you wanted to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, so I would love to gain more revenue in order to get more resources to scale things up.
Okay.
So it can either be fundraising or it can be revenue from sales. I would definitely prefer to have revenue from sales. That's why we doubling down on go-to-market motions that proved to be right for us in the recent months. So if I could, I wouldn't love to skip those because without doing this myself, I won't be able to scale it further. I can't, like, to be honest, I can't skip it. But as the CEO who is like very much full of ideas, I would love to create a mobile app today that will
Yeah.
take a few months
Like,
to be created. Yeah.
yeah.
Because like right now we don't have a mobile app. We're working on it, but there are so many things we need to work on. And we have a desktop version and we just started to work on this like mobile version that will take some time. So probably I would love to have this mobile version because I have so many ideas how to apply it and how to sell it, how to distribute it. I have new channels in my mind that I want to test. So yeah, having this app today would make a difference.
Yeah. That's the whole mobile mobile friendly is definitely a huge deal when it comes to SaaS in general. But I don't know if you're familiar with Instantly.ai. I don't know if you've used that before.
We use Instantly.
Use Instantly. Okay, that's the cold outreach tool you use. So they have a mobile version that is a lesser version. It kind of feels and looks like a beta version of the desktop version, but it focuses on the primary feature, which is inbox management. And so there's ways like if you were to prioritize what would go on the app first, like what is the number one thing that Skarbe does on the desktop version, and grab that first feature, put down the app, and that alone. I mean, I use Instantly too for my own stuff. And I use the app only to track to answer inboxes, the Unibox. I don't use it to, you can't manage campaigns on it. You can't check metrics on it. You can't do anything. You can't even use the CRM functions of it on mobile, but you can answer emails. And that's the number one thing I need to do on my phone. Anything else can wait until I'm on my laptop.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we will simplify the concept of the CRM even further with our mobile app, and it's going to be just contacts and
Yeah,
next steps and
yeah,
the goals. So there won't be any deals, there won't be anything. There will be just
yeah,
you open your phone, it will tell you what is the most urgent thing based on all the priorities you have, and then there will be a specific task and there will be a specific goal. So if you think it would be just a very simple, like straightforward thing, and you can send emails, you can answer emails, of course. So that's going to be like the app. Of course, it's going to be a separate thing. It's not going to be a replication of what we have on desktop.
yeah, yeah. It can't. Well, it can, but that's a more finished version of it,
Right,
right?
it's a
Like you
different
said,
experience. We don't need it on mobile. As you mentioned, the experience is different and the
yeah.
workflows are different.
Yeah. With I wouldn't sit down on my phone to do campaign management. That's the, that's like a work of a 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours. I wouldn't do that on my phone. My phone is for follow-ups. My phone is for answering, checking quick data, and moving on with my day.
Yeah,
I
kind
do
of
it when I'm
nuggets.
traveling. Exactly.
Yeah.
I usually answer those. I had a couple of flights last week, and I was legit just pre-boarding, answering quick things, laptop put away, and then when I got to my workstation, I did the bulk of the work that I needed to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So I so appreciate your time for this little great chat, stimulating. I loved hearing your insights, and especially in the realm of AI and B2B SaaS, which is the endless pit. And I live and breathe this realm, and I still have so much to learn. And so that's why I welcome founders like you here, right, to kind of hear different perspectives, different ways people are operating their businesses. I'm intrigued as an entrepreneur myself. I want to be as much of a sponge as possible. And I think that should never stop. Even if I've been in business for 30 years, I intend on keeping this trait of learning from anyone and everyone that has insights to offer.
Yeah, same
So
here.
thank you so much for that.